Welcome to the Tiger Men's Basketball Report. I'm your host, Spiro Maricas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Pat Scarry. And Coach, mixed bag this past week as the Tigers unable to pull off a victory on Thursday, but were able to come back Saturday and beat Northeastern up in Boston. And, a lot of times a team just needs to get that victory, and after losing the first four conference games, you're now back on the winning track.
Yeah, guys played well. I thought, about 28 really good minutes. Bad start, bad end, but the middle we played about as well as we've played all year. They're a tough team to stop. I told you before the game, any team that's shooting over 50% from the floor is going to be difficult to stop. And then we did a great job on the glass, and it was really good to see. I thought Dylan played at a really high level on Saturday, and that really elevated everybody.
He had a rough day against Hofstra on Thursday, but he bounces back. And this is a guy, last year, second team All-CAA, probably should have been first team. This year has had some brilliant games. You got to let him keep shooting, right?
Yeah, we're going to go as far as he takes us. It's the same thing with Tyler. I don't think I looked too smart before Hofstra, but I want those guys. Those are the amount of shots I want them taking. And we're going to keep playing them. We trust them. They're great guys. Honestly, they put the work in pre and post practice religiously. So those guys can make shots. We need them to score the ball. I thought he did just some other really good things Saturday. I thought his defense was good. He got some guys involved early. And honestly, last week I thought, we didn't shoot the ball great. But especially in Monmouth, he really found some guys in the second half. We just missed some shots. So it's time of year we spend a little extra time shooting. I'm seeing some good progress from some other guys, and I have great belief and confidence in this group.
Well, for Tyler Tejada, Wilt Chamberlain has nothing to worry about again because Tyler fouled out for the first time in his career on Saturday. Wilt never fouled out of a game, but he's showing more aggressiveness, I think, on defense than he did in years past.
Yeah, he's doing a much better job in that area. I thought there was we like games to be a little bit, a little more physicality than maybe what was allowed on Saturday. But yeah, neither of those two guys foul. They just don't. So I was a little surprised at a couple of those.
All right, this week. You have a game on Thursday against Charleston, 8 o'clock at CQ Arena. Place should be rocking. And then a week from today, as we're filming on a Monday, for Martin Luther King's birthday, a 1 o'clock game against Drexel. Charleston will come in here on Thursday. They've won 7 games in a row. Rough start. They had some injuries. Mr. Dean out for the year. But they got Colby Duggan back. He's played in the last 4 games, averaging 14 points a game. And he's kind of a guy that makes them go.
Yeah, they're really good. I mean, they're well coached. They're talented. They're massive at the 5 spot. They've got 2 7-footers, and Duggan's a hard cover. And then the point guard counter is terrific. He's kind of the straw that stirs the drink. He scores it. He leads them in free throw attempts. He makes most plays off ball screens, and they've got 2 good wing players, and veteran guy Hickman and a good freshman Kalu from Germany. So. Charleston Towson's have had a lot of good battles over the years, and our guys are well aware how good Charleston is.
Well, these were the top 2 teams in the preseason poll, and again, Charleston got off to a rough start. I guess because of the injuries and trying to work some new guys in.
Yeah, and I think I saw them only once in the non-conference Liberty because we played them after them, but that's a hard place to play at. But yeah, they're playing well. They've done a really good job winning some close games in conference, and we'll have to take care of the ball, and they'll change defenses. We're expecting some zone from them. So can we attack that? And like I said, the kid counter and Duggan and Hickman are really good veteran players, and they're big at the 5, so they can hurt you in different ways.
And then on Monday, when Drexel comes in, this is a team that has won their last 2 CAA games after dropping the first 3. I mean, they held Stony Brook to 37 points last week, and Shane Blakeney leading the way with 12.6 points a game. But they've got 5 guys averaging at least 8.5 points a game.
Yeah, Blake, I haven't got into Drexel a ton. I watched them play Charleston. They had like a huge lead in the first half and just didn't have a good second half on the road. Blakeney's a really, really good player, an all-league player. But Drexel's been good defensively. They'll have big physical bodies and they run intricate offense, and it looks like they're changing a lot of different things defensively. So we'll have to use those extra couple of days we get to really prepare for the Dragons.
Let's go back to your last few ball games. A couple of guys have really come on offensively. Tyler Coleman and the freshman Jaquan Womack. Both of those guys really stepping it up on the offensive end.
But really excited about it and proud of their progress. They had 30 and 32 points last week. Jaquan's really been taking care of the ball. Tyler Coleman's been very efficient shooting the ball. That's key for us, right? As those guys continue to get better, and I thought Nadefo had a really good game for us on Saturday. If we can get those tweener guys continue to trend like this, we know what Dylan and Tyler are capable of. There's still room for us to take another big step.
And plus Jack Dumbia coming back.
Yeah, that'll help. He's day to day, but we're guardedly optimistic we'll have him back and get his land legs back under him.
All right. Well, Tigers Thursday 8 o'clock CQ Arena against the Cougars of Charleston, and then Monday 1 o'clock against the Dragons of Drexel, also at CQ Arena in a matinee game. Now, a question that humanity has pondered for thousands of years.
I'm sure.
I want you to know that I know you know the answer.
All right. Well,
do fish get thirsty?
Yeah, I don't know. That is a great question. I would think not.
You would think not?
I would think not.
That's the answer. That'll do it for another edition of the Tiger Men's Basketball Report. For the head coach, Pat Scarry, I'm Spiro Marikas. Thanks for tuning in.